You know what's wild? A piece of paper I signed 20 years ago without even reading is the reason I'm finally free. Yeah, I know. It sounds like one of those late night Reddit confessions that people assume is fake, but it's 3:07 a.m., I've got a cold cup of coffee sitting untouched next to me, and my heart feels like it's been drop-kicked into a wood chipper. Let me back up a bit. This all didn't blow up last night or even last week. It's been a slow-motion implosion, like watching a train derail in slow-mo and realizing you were the damn conductor. 20 years ago. I met Marissa in college. She was this wild, sharp, beautiful girl who always had something sarcastic to say and a closet full of designer crap I couldn't pronounce. I was the broke kid with a busted laptop juggling two part-time jobs and dreaming about graduating with just one digit of student debt. She was rich. Like old money rich. Think East Coast family business, 3 summer homes, and Christmas cards from politicians. Her dad owned some kind of venture firm, and her mom, well, let's just say she threw charity galas like most people throw backyard barbecues. We fell fast, like stupid, reckless, headfirst fast. And against all odds, she liked me. Her parents, not so much. Her dad once looked me dead in the eyes during dinner and said, "So what do you plan to contribute to this marriage? Not how are you and my daughter in love, but what's your value proposition?" Like I was pitching myself on Shark Tank. I still married her. Because I was in love. Because she was different. Because she made me feel like maybe, just maybe, I could belong in that world. And yeah, they made me sign a prenup. Of course they did. I didn't care. I didn't have shit. What was I gonna protect my 2001 Corolla? So I signed it. Fast forward, house, kids, chaos. We got married at 23. Bought a big house. Well, technically, her family paid the down payment, which turned out to be important later. Had our first kid, Emma, 2 years later. Then came Max, Lucas, and Ava. I worked hard. Built a small but steady financial planning business. I pulled in decent money, not 6 figures at first, but enough to keep lights on, food in the fridge, and the mortgage. Yes, I paid that covered. She stayed home with the kids. Her idea, not mine. I respected it. We had this silent agreement. I'd provide the security and she'd run the house. It worked, for a while. Her parents still threw money her way, monthly transfers, paid vacations, tuition for the kids. They never gave a damn about how I was hustling to make ends meet. And honestly, I didn't resent it. I was proud to carry my part of the weight. But then came the crash. 10 years ago. The fall, her dad's empire crumbled. Some lawsuit, some SEC thing, I never got the full story. Suddenly, the family money dried up. The allowance stopped. The Amex got cut off. And Marissa changed. She got bitter, restless, started comparing our life to what it used to be. I didn't get it at first, how someone could mourn the loss of things more than the people still standing right in front of them. She didn't try to work, didn't ask about picking up hours. She just moped, sulked, became meaner, colder. It was like living with a ghost who resented you for being alive. I kept pushing, working harder, picking up clients, staying late at the office to make sure we didn't lose the house. I still believed stupidly that this was just a phase. But nah, she was already gone. Last summer, the red flags start piling up. It started with the phone. She used to leave it lying around. She'd forget it on the kitchen counter, in the bathroom, on the nightstand. But suddenly, it was glued to her hand. In the bathroom, in the garden. Hell, she'd take it into the laundry room like she was smuggling a nuke. Then the errands. Grocery trips that took 3 hours. School runs where she'd mysteriously forget to pick up the kids. I was starting to feel like I was losing my grip on reality. And then one Tuesday, yeah, I remember it was Tuesday, I left work early 'cause a client bailed. Decided to grab tacos from that place across town. That's when I saw our car parked at this random strip mall I'd never been to. I knew her license plate. I knew her silhouette. I knew that wasn't her best friend in the passenger seat. I froze. Didn't go over. Didn't blow up. I just sat there in my car for 5 full minutes trying not to throw up. That night, she came home with Thai takeout and smiled like nothing happened. Like I was still the idiot who paid the bills while she played house. The smoking gun, her phone. A week later, she left her phone charging in the kitchen. She was in the shower. I wish I could say I hesitated, that I wrestled with the moral dilemma of invading her privacy. I didn't. I unlocked it. Password hadn't changed in years. And there it was. Ryan. Fucking Ryan. Texts, pictures, voice notes, flirty gifs. A photo of them drinking wine on a blanket, the exact one we used for our kids' picnics. I just stood there in the kitchen reading my marriage fall apart in iMessage font. I couldn't breathe. That night. She came out of the bathroom, towel on her head, humming. Asked if I wanted to watch something on Netflix. I said sure. We watched 2 episodes of a comedy show I didn't laugh once at. She fell asleep on my shoulder halfway through. I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling and thought about the prenup. That dusty, forgotten agreement I'd signed in my 20s when I thought love was enough. Suddenly, it wasn't a joke anymore. It was my parachute. The next morning, I didn't say a damn word to her. I got up early, made coffee, packed the kids' lunches, and left like it was any other Thursday. But my mind was spinning like a broken washing machine. Every second I was picturing her with him. Ryan, the texts, the dumb inside jokes, the smirks, the freaking emoji reactions. I couldn't even eat. I sat in my car in the parking lot for over an hour before walking into this law office downtown. It was one of those glass buildings with the nice marble floors and a receptionist who looked like she could smell my marriage crumbling before I even said hello. The lawyer's name was Meredith. Early 40s, sharp eyes, no bullshit energy. She didn't do small talk, just looked at me and asked, "Do you want to leave her?" And I said I think I already did. I just haven't packed yet. She gave me a nod like she hears that 10 times a week. We went through everything. The prenup, the finances, the house, the kids. Meredith took one look at the prenup and smirked like she'd just pulled a reverse Uno card on behalf of every working-class husband who ever got steamrolled by a rich in-law. "She's screwed," Meredith said, flipping through the pages. "Unless you choose to be generous, she gets nothing beyond her cut of the house." I didn't feel good. I didn't feel victorious. I just felt hollow. But there was a part of me that needed this. I needed to know that I wasn't going to get wrecked financially after she blew up our life. Meredith told me not to confront her yet. Act normal. We need time to gather more evidence in case she tries to contest anything later. So I went home and pretended like everything was fine. You ever have to sit across from someone at dinner knowing they're lying straight to your face? Watching them laugh with your kids like they didn't just text some dude last night was electric. It's hell. But I did it. For a week. During that week, I became a damn spy. Screenshots, emails, GPS data from our family iCloud, Venmo transactions. I even found an Uber receipt where she'd gone from home to a freaking Airbnb. She thought she was slick. She wasn't. And the kids, man, they had no clue. I kept telling myself I was protecting them, but part of me knew it was going to hit the fan soon, and I didn't know if I was ready for the fallout. The morning she got served, I'll never forget it. I handed her a coffee like usual, said I'd be home late, and left. Half an hour later, she texted me. "What the F***CK is this?" I didn't reply. When I got home that night, she was sitting in the living room holding the divorce papers like they'd personally insulted her. "You're divorcing me." I just nodded. "You're throwing away 20 years over a mistake." I laughed. Like an actual short, bitter laugh that surprised both of us. "A mistake is leaving the stove on. You built a whole secret life." She started crying. And for a second, I'm not proud of this, but I felt nothing. Just this numb ache like my empathy had been surgically removed. "You don't have to do this," she whispered. "We can fix it." "No," I said. "You broke it. You don't get to decide when it's fixable." That's when the manipulation started. She ran straight to the kids. Sat them down while I was out, told them I was giving up on the family, that I was angry over one slip-up. Like I was the villain in some twisted Netflix drama she'd produced. My youngest Lucas came into my office that night and asked me straight up, "Dad, did Mom cheat?" And I just looked at him and said, "Yeah, she did." He didn't cry, just nodded like he already knew. Said I figured, and left. Emma, my oldest, texted me a few days later. Nothing dramatic, just "I heard about the divorce. You okay?" That one hit me. I stared at the message for a solid 5 minutes before replying, "Trying to be." But Ava, my second, called me and tried to do the whole "can't you just forgive her for us" speech. I had to sit there and explain to my teenage daughter why trust matters. Why love doesn't cancel betrayal. Why I wasn't walking away because I was angry. I was walking away because I deserve peace. She didn't like it, but she didn't fight me either. Now Max, that was different. Max was always closest to his mom. She babied him, spoiled him, let him skip chores and homework while I was the one enforcing curfews and rules. So I wasn't shocked when he showed up at my place practically yelling, "You're destroying the family." I let him yell. I just stood there and let the kid let it all out. And when he was done, I said, "Your mom cheated for months, lied to me, lied to you, lied to everyone. And she only cared when I finally decided I was done being a fool." He didn't say anything after that, just walked away. And look, I get it. This wasn't just my pain. It was theirs too. I knew that. But I was still pissed that she dragged them into it instead of owning her shit. A week later, she tried the ultimate low blow. She sent Max back over. With a letter. A freaking handwritten letter. Like this was some 90s rom-com and not a real marriage she'd torched. The letter was full of "I'm sorries" and "I lost myself and I still love yous." I crumpled it up and tossed it in the trash. Max saw me do it. He looked hurt and I get it. But I told him, "Don't let her use you as a messenger. I love you, but I'm done with her games." That night I sat alone in the kitchen, same spot where I first read those texts. And it hit me how I'd let myself become a background character in my own life. For years, I'd prioritized her happiness, her comfort, her image, while slowly losing myself. And the damn prenup I signed because I was just a broke college kid. That was the only thing protecting me now. Ironic, right? The thing that made me feel like I didn't belong in her world was the thing that was letting me finally leave it without losing mine. 2 weeks after she got served, we had Ava's 18th birthday. Honestly, I didn't even want to host it. The thought of being in the same room as her made my skin crawl. But Ava asked if we could still do something at my place, something small, just the family. And she said it with this shaky voice like she was begging the world to feel normal for 5 minutes. So I said yes. I sent one text to my ex and Max, same to the others. "No drama. This is for Ava. If you come, you leave your fights at the door." No replies. Just read receipts. I should have known better. The day came. I set out pizza drinks, even one of those dumb Pinterest-style decorations she always loved. Emma and Lucas helped me set up. Everyone showed up right on time, except for her, of course. Always had to be fashionably late. She walks in with Max right behind her like it's some entrance, smiling like nothing ever happened, wearing this bright yellow dress she used to wear to our anniversary dinners. And I swear to God, I felt my jaw clench so hard I thought a molar might pop. Ava smiled, hugged her. I forced a hey and gave Max a quick nod. The air was thick, like everyone was holding their breath, just waiting for something to pop off. We sat, ate, forced conversation. She kept laughing too loud, telling stories that made no sense. Max barely looked at me. Emma was quiet but kept shooting me these "please don't lose it" glances. Lucas refused to sit next to his mom, which didn't go unnoticed. Then came the cake. I lit the candles. Ava made a wish. We all clapped. And then she stood up. My ex, like it was her moment. I just want to say she started glass in hand, fake smile locked and loaded. I'm really grateful we could all be together again. Even with everything going on, this just proves love is what matters most. I froze. My brain was screaming, don't do this now. But she kept going. We're still a family, no matter what happens. And I know we've all made mistakes, but forgiveness is powerful. Especially when it comes to the people who've shared your life. Max nodded beside her. Emma looked down at her plate. Lucas rolled his eyes. Then Ava, my birthday girl, the reason I bit my tongue all night, looked at her mom and said, "Why are you making this about you?" It was like someone dropped a pin in a bomb shelter. My ex blinked. "Sweetheart, I'm just..." No, Ava cut her off. "This isn't a movie. You cheated on Dad. You lied. You're the reason things are falling apart, so don't stand here pretending we're some Hallmark family." My chest went tight. I hadn't said a word, but suddenly I felt like I was watching years of pain detonate in slow motion. Then Max jumped in. "She didn't cheat like that. You're all being dramatic. It was one mistake." Ava scoffed. "You weren't there when Dad found out. You didn't read the messages." Max snapped back. "You only know one side of it. She was going through stuff. You have no idea what it's like being stuck in a house with someone who barely even comes home." That's when Emma stood up. "Max, shut up," she said, voice low but firm. "You don't know shit. And if you're defending her, then maybe you're just as blind as she is." Everyone went quiet. And then, Lucas, my sweet, quiet kid, looked up and asked the question that turned everything sideways. "Did Max know about it?" The table froze. What my ex said, eyes flickering fast. "You knew, didn't you?" Lucas asked, looking right at Max. "You knew Mom was cheating." I swear I saw the blood drain from Max's face. I didn't," he stammered. "You didn't say anything." Ava whispered, tears in her eyes now. "You knew and didn't tell Dad." I couldn't speak. I just looked at Max and waited. I didn't even blink. He finally muttered, "She told me not to say anything. She said it was over. That she regretted it." "You lied to all of us," Emma hissed. "You sat there and watched this family burn and said nothing." My ex jumped in. He was protecting me. "No," I cut her off. "He was helping you lie. To your kids, to me." Max opened his mouth but then shut it. He looked small, deflated, like the truth had punched all the air out of him. Ava stood up and walked out. Lucas followed her. Emma just stared at the floor. I stood up too, looked right at my ex. "We're done here." She reached for my arm, tears in her eyes. "Please don't do this." I pulled away. "No more speeches, no more fake tears. You blew this up. Now you get to live in the ruins." She turned to Max. "Let's go." He didn't move. "Max," she repeated. He just shook his head slowly. "I think I need to go apologize to my sister." Then he followed Ava out the door. I was the last one standing there. Cake untouched. Drinks still half full. My ex stood there looking like she didn't know where the hell she was anymore. She grabbed her purse and walked out without another word. I cleaned up alone, took down the balloons, wiped the counters. It felt surreal, like I'd just watched the final act of a play I didn't audition for. The next day, Emma texted me. "I'm proud of you, Dad. I know that wasn't easy." Lucas left a drawing on the fridge, a stick figure family with one person drawn smaller and farther away. No label. I didn't need one. Max called me that night, apologized, cried, told me he felt stuck, confused, ashamed. I didn't yell. I didn't say I told you so. I just said, "Now you know how it feels to be lied to by someone you trust." And we sat there in silence, both realizing that the damage wasn't just to the marriage, it had trickled down into the foundation of our family. And that kind of crack, it doesn't just patch up with time. A few days later, I got another letter from my ex, this time typed. No tears, no guilt. Just desperation. She'd finally realized that prenup she was so proud of, it had become a cage of her own making. No alimony, no cut of my business. Her only asset was the house, and even that would be split and sold. She wrote, "I didn't know what I was doing back then. I didn't think it would ever come to this." I didn't reply. I kept the letter though, not out of sentiment, but as a reminder that people will build walls to protect themselves and then scream for help when they realize they're the ones trapped inside. I didn't reply to her letter. Honestly, I didn't even know what I would say if I did. "You should have thought about that before you let a guy named Ryan destroy our family." Yeah, probably not the most constructive. So I left it sitting in a drawer next to the old tax returns and expired passports. 3 days after the birthday disaster, Meredith, my lawyer, called. "She's trying to contest the asset division," she said deadpan. I let out a bitter laugh. Of course she is. Apparently my ex was now claiming that I'd emotionally abandoned the marriage and that parts of the prenup were unfair in hindsight, which legally is like saying I didn't read the terms and conditions so they shouldn't apply to me. Nice try. Meredith wasn't fazed. We'll let her burn out the legal budget. She'll come to the table when she realizes she has nothing to negotiate with. It felt weird. I wasn't used to being on the side with leverage. For 20 years, I was the guy folding napkins, saying, "Sure, honey," trying to keep the peace while she lived like royalty. Now, she had a lawyer dragging out mediation sessions, trying to squeeze blood from a prenup stone. And me, I just showed up, quiet paperwork in hand, and let her watch everything slip. Mediation lasted 3 sessions. The first one was cold. She showed up in a beige blazer like she was interviewing for a job she didn't want. Refused to look at me. Her lawyer spoke for her the whole time. "We'd like to discuss renegotiating spousal support," the lawyer said. Meredith replied without looking up from her folder, "The agreement waives support. It's ironclad." Next, it was kind of surreal, honestly. Watching the same woman who used to tell me I'd never understand her world now begging to stay in mine. Watching her shift uncomfortably every time we reviewed a line in that prenup that came from her family's legal team. She used to act like I was lucky she married down. Now she was grasping at any dollar that wasn't nailed to the floor. Second session, she cried. Not full sobs, more like these dramatic sniffles she thought would soften me. Her lawyer talked about how she sacrificed her career to raise our children and how she never imagined being left with so little. I almost choked. She didn't sacrifice anything I said. She chose that life. I supported it. And while I worked 70-hour weeks, she was out shopping with her mom and planning fundraisers for Instagram. Dead silence in the room. Her lawyer shifted. Meredith just clicked her pen and said, "We're done here." The third session was the last. We agreed to sell the house. The equity would be split, which was fine. I didn't want the house. Too many ghosts in those walls. She'd get her share, but nothing else. No claim on my business, no alimony, no post-separation support. When the meeting ended, she waited till her lawyer stepped away and then turned to me. "I really didn't think it would end like this," she said. I looked at her, really looked, for the first time in a while. She looked tired. Smaller, like someone who finally realized the mask had fallen off and couldn't find where it landed. "Neither did I said, "but here we are." She looked like she wanted to say more, but I walked out. I didn't need closure. I was the closure. After that, things moved fast. The house went on the market. We priced it fair, not greedy. Got an offer within 2 weeks. During the inspection visit, I walked through it one last time. The living room still smelled like vanilla candles. The master bedroom still had the faint scuff marks from when we'd tried to build our first IKEA bed together, laughing back when we were still us. And the kitchen. That kitchen saw everything. Morning coffees, homework at the counter, her phone lighting up with Ryan's texts, me holding it in my hand like a live grenade. I walked out without looking back. Each of the kids processed it differently. Emma stayed close, texted often, invited me to lunch once a week just to check in. Lucas stayed quiet, but I caught him smiling more when he was around me. Ava asked a lot of questions about relationships, trust how people change. It felt like she was trying to figure out how not to become her mother. Max was still complicated. He apologized again, sent me a long text about how he felt trapped in the middle, how he didn't want to betray either side. I told him the truth. You didn't have to choose sides. You just had to be honest. We're still rebuilding, one awkward dinner at a time. Meanwhile, my ex moved in with her sister who used to call me unambitious at every family dinner. I heard she started applying for part-time jobs, something about admin work at a nonprofit. And here's the thing that surprised me, I didn't feel good about it. I didn't want her to suffer. I just wanted my dignity back. People think revenge is about watching someone fall, but it's not. Not for me. It was about not letting myself be the guy who got played and stayed silent. It was about walking away without begging to be understood. 1 month after everything finalized, I started therapy. Not because I was broken, but because I didn't want to carry that anger into whatever came next. The first session, the therapist asked me what I hoped to get out of it. I said, I want to figure out who I am when I'm not constantly holding everything together for someone else. She smiled and said, "That's a good place to start." I also took a weekend trip alone. Just me and the road. Drove up the coast. Listened to old playlists, the ones I used to put on during long nights when I thought staying was the brave choice. Stayed in a cheap motel. Ate diner pancakes. Watched the ocean roll in with no one talking over it. And you know what? For the first time in 20 years, I didn't feel like a husband or a provider or a human buffer between someone else's drama and our kids. I just felt like a man who survived. And maybe one day I'd be more than that. But surviving, that was enough for now. A week after the trip, I bumped into Ryan. Yeah, that Ryan. It was at a gas station of all places. He didn't recognize me at first. But when he did, he got this panicked look. Tried to look busy, fumbling with his keys. I walked up, calm, no anger. Still sleeping with married women, I asked. He looked like he wanted the ground to swallow him. I didn't know she was married at first, he muttered. I just nodded. But you knew later and kept going. He didn't respond. I leaned in a little. Not threatening, just honest. I'm not mad anymore. I just hope one day you realize what kind of man you are and try to be better. He stared at the ground. I walked away. No punches, no shouting, just the truth. That was enough. You know what's funny? I thought the hardest part would be walking away from her. Turns out the hardest part was walking back to myself. and realizing I had no idea who that even was anymore. But I'm getting there, one clean slate at a time. If someone told me a year ago I'd be living alone in a rented townhouse and actually sleeping better than I ever did in a damn mansion, I would have laughed in their face. But here I am, coffee brewed just the way I like it. No passive-aggressive sighs in the morning. No silent treatment over dumb arguments we never finished. Just peace. It's weird at first. The silence is heavy, like my brain keeps waiting for the next fight, the next guilt trip, the next we need to talk. But it never comes. It's just still. And the stillness over time stopped feeling empty. It started feeling like safety. I hung one photo up in the living room. Just one. Me and the kids at a baseball game 3 years ago. We were all smiling faces, painted like idiots, Ava with mustard on her cheek. That's the version of us I want to remember. Before all the lies. Before it got so damn complicated. Therapy helped more than I expected. At first, I was stiff. I'm fine, and it is what it is. But one session, the therapist asked, "What's something you wish you could have said to her before it all fell apart?" I sat there for a long time. Then I finally said, "I wish I could have said, I see you're not happy, and I'm exhausted from trying to guess why." It just tumbled out, raw, no filter. Because I really did spend years walking on eggshells trying to be the version of a man I thought she wanted. The provider, the calm one. The guy who said, it's okay even when it wasn't. All while she kept the real parts of herself locked away or handed them to someone else entirely. And you know what? I'm done with guessing. The kids started coming around more after the dust settled. Emma came by with groceries one weekend. Said she knew I'd just eat frozen meals otherwise. She's not wrong. I burned spaghetti twice in 1 week. We sat at the kitchen island and talked about her new job, marketing assistant at some firm downtown. She looked happy, confident. "I'm proud of you," I told her. She smiled and said, "I'm proud of you too." Lucas stays every other weekend now. We play old video games together and eat too much takeout. He's growing fast. Got that quiet strength to him, the kind you don't notice until he opens his mouth and cuts through the noise with one sentence that hits harder than a lecture. One night he said, "You seem lighter, Dad." I didn't know what to say. Just kind of nodded and said, "Feels like I can breathe again." Ava's still untangling herself from all of it. She's the one who internalized the most. Tried to keep the peace, tried to fix things like kids always do when they think the family's breaking because of them. I sat her down one afternoon, just me and her on the back porch with iced tea and mosquito bites. "You didn't cause this," I told her, "and it's not your job to carry it." She cried. First time since the birthday dinner explosion. Cried hard. I let her. Didn't rush her. Just sat there while she fell apart in the safest place I could give her. After she calmed down, she said, "I thought if I could just get everyone in the same room again, it would fix itself." I looked at her and said, "You can't glue back something that was shattered from the inside. Max, we're still figuring it out." We talk more now, slowly, no pressure. He asked to meet for lunch one day. Real casual. Just, "Hey, want to grab a burger?" like nothing had ever happened. I said sure. We sat at this divey little joint with sticky menus and a busted jukebox, and he finally asked, "Do you hate me?" I stared at him for a second, then said no, but I was hurt as hell. He nodded, took a long breath. I believed her. I really did. I thought she just needed support. I didn't think I was helping her lie. I didn't sugarcoat it. You were. Even if you didn't mean to, and it hurt, a lot. He nodded again. I know. Then he said, "I just didn't want to lose both of you." That hit me harder than I expected. "You didn't," I told him. "You still got me. You just gotta walk a straighter line now." He smiled, and for the first time since the whole mess started, I felt like we were on the same team again. Meanwhile, my ex finally moved out of her sister's place and into a small apartment on the east side. Word got around she took a part-time admin job at a dental clinic. And I'll be real, I had a lot of complicated feelings about that. Not schadenfreude, not pride. Just this heavy sadness that someone who once had everything, family stability, loyalty, threw it all away chasing something so small, so fleeting. And now she was sitting in a dentist waiting room probably wondering how the hell her life got here. She texted me once. Just one line. "Do you think we'll ever be friends again?" I stared at the screen for 5 minutes before putting the phone down. No reply. Not out of anger, not anymore. but because I don't have space in my life for ghosts who won't stop haunting themselves. I started going to the gym again, not for revenge body reasons or anything, just movement, something to shake the energy out of my bones. I'd forgotten what it felt like to do something just for me, not to keep the peace, not to be productive, just because. Signed up for a spin class. Got my ass kicked by a 60-year-old instructor named Carla who wears hot pink every damn day and yells like a drill sergeant. She high-fived me after class and said, "You look like someone just left a funeral." I laughed and said, "Kinda did." She raised a brow and said, "Well, honey, you're still breathing, so start living." Didn't expect life advice between squats and sprints, but here we are. I also started journaling. Not fancy, just a $5 notebook from Target and a pen that works half the time. First entry I wrote, I want to be someone who doesn't flinch at the sound of their own thoughts. Each day got easier. Each page felt like unclogging an emotional drain I didn't know was backed up. I wrote about the good days, the bad ones. The days where I missed the smell of her shampoo for no reason, followed by the days I remembered how cruel she could be with silence. I wrote about forgiveness, not for her, for me. Because I didn't want to be the guy who carries resentment around like an emotional backpack for the next 20 years. Screw that. I didn't cheat. I didn't lie. I didn't destroy our family. She did. And I'll be damned if I spend the rest of my life cleaning up her mess in my head. A few weeks ago, Lucas asked if we could do another family night. Just the four of us, no her, no drama. He wanted to play board games and order Chinese and pretend things were simple again. We did it. And for 3 hours, we laughed, ate orange chicken, argued about Monopoly rules like the world wasn't on fire. After the kids went home, I sat in that empty townhouse and realized, maybe this is enough. Maybe I don't need some big movie-style ending or a dramatic rebirth. Maybe healing just looks like this quiet dinner, soft boundaries, slow rebuilding. Maybe peace isn't flashy. Maybe it just is.